players in the northeast position as the red Protoss. From Team SK Gaming, give it up for the boss toss, MC.
And of course, his opponent down in the bottom left-hand corner, hoping to make it 2 foreigners through to the next round. From Team Liquid, it is Snute. Wow, you brought all the flags. Norwegian flag there too.
He's prepared.
That's nice. Got to carry 3 flags. Not too stressful.
Pull out whichever one's right for the situation, you're good to go.
Yeah. And, you know, I already like the fact that MC is scouting so early. I mean, he clearly is not yet going to go for a fast expo. He went pylon in main base, but MC is one of the players that I've seen consistently make really strong reads and really strong answers to whatever he sees his opponent do.
Yeah, and that's been pretty typical of his play over many, what seems like years. It doesn't MC just, well, he has been around since pretty much the beginning of time, the StarCraft time anyway. Being a Brood War player and then transitioning, of course, over to StarCraft 2. And since he's done just that, he has built a fan base that I think other players only wish that they could have. He's certainly a charismatic individual, and he's got some amazing talent to boot.
And of course, that's reflected in our live poll right now. Who's your favorite player out of the group? MC taking a big lead, but you know, SOS, interesting story, having been somewhat unknown throughout the year. I mean, he got 2nd place in WCS Korea Season 1, WCS Grand Final Season 1, but that was overshadowed by the fact that everyone was rooting and chanting and hollering for innovation. But now that he's a world champ with incredible style of flair, I mean, I think that he's definitely boosted his fan base by a lot.
Yeah, you know, what he said yesterday was really interesting, where he said, you know, I'm so happy about my 2013 WCS Grand Final win that I almost feel like losing here is going to take away from this happiness of this grand champion that I became just a couple weeks ago. And I can certainly understand that. I think there's a lot of pressure on a player like that to you know, be that individual who can have a repeat performance. We've talked about this many times in StarCraft 2, Sean, and that we haven't quite seen some of the same level of dominance that was prevalent during the Brood War days. And not to say that a win by SOS would just prove this dominance, but it's just one step closer. And I think SOS, you know, he's out to hopefully do just that.
Oh yeah, I mean, Snute has a real huge uphill battle ahead of him with those 2 Protosses in the group, MC and SOS, because they play so differently. I think it's smart for Snute to try to be as aggressive as possible right from the get-go, because the big thing Snute's looking for is what is that 2nd unit that's out of the gateway. This is just all bonus damage, but now Snute says, wait a minute, 2 Zealots. What attack do you have planned here? Are you doing a warp gate push on me? Are you doing just a regular gateway into Stargate push on me? MC has some of the best early attacks in the business.
Yeah, MC has not only got great early attacks, but also the control to back it up with. And that 3rd base is down, almost completed here for Snute. Again, want to just reiterate the fact that Snute's coming into this one much different than he came into the Red Bull Training Grounds Orlando, which he won. And that he was not that confident that he was going to be able to win that tournament. But this time, you know, again, that time spent in Korea, he's one of those players that comes back and says, it was remarkable for me. And I just want to be able to see that in his play here today.
Yeah, but this is the issue, though, with this map. And even though Snute's gotten all those hours to practice and he's such a talented player, MC is exploiting the fact that there are rocks blocking the entrance to the natural expansion. These pushes are so much more potent. The Zerglings, I think, are going to be able to arrive just in time, but that Queen is going to fall, and that's critical for Snute's ability to keep up the macro.
Yeah, and that automatically is going to, well, it could mean the hatchery here. I don't know if we have anything coming out of that particular hatchery right there. We'll have a reinforcing stalker potentially get taken down here. Actually had a chance for a surround, but it's not going to come out now. And will these Lings actively engage? I still think this hatchery might be in danger. A Queen is about ready to come out. He's going in for the surround.
Nice surround by Snute, but the damage output is ridiculous with 2 Zealots and the Mothership Core. MC barely micros that Stalker to its death. But, I mean, Snute's not giving up this expansion easily.
No, no, not yet. And with more links coming out, their speed does hit. One Zealot does go down. It looks like the hatchery will stay alive.
No way. Is he going to get this out? No. Did Snute really pull that one off? I thought it was dead for sure.
I thought it might be dead too, but it could need a few Queen Band-Aids there later on in the matchup. It might become a high priority target for MC. And it bought him a lot of time as he's got all these additional gateways down. No real chance of a counterattack there as he's got that door sealed shut to Snute.
Now this is an awkward position for Snute because, you know, he obviously had to spend a lot on Zerglings. He killed off some units, wasted some time for MC, but now do you build extra units because you're expecting a gateway attack? Do you flood drones because you want to go toe-to-toe with the Protoss economy? MC is really good at doing both, so Snute has to be unbelievably brave and scout aggressively right now just to make sure he doesn't see any attack coming. We see those speedlings doing exactly that.
Yeah, being very active with those links is so important, and not having vision right there. This is going to be important to spot here. A few links going to be swinging around from the other side, and only until it comes on the creep. Yeah, does he know? But Snute adding a few additional queens up to the top. It's going to see this pylon going down, almost missing that creep. Oh, the links from the back get trapped by the force fields. That one sentry goes to the sentry and a zealot, I think, fell there.
I'm not so sure how much I like that out of MC. He's got to warp in additional sentries now because he's lost so much energy there. Warp Prism coming up. MC loves the Warp Prism follow-up play. We even see the Spore Crawler being utilized nicely. What a great move! Incredible force fields from MC, but that Zergling surround was exactly what Snute needed. He's taken down one pylon. He's got more roaches and lings to boot, but does he have a layer yet? He does. Wow.
Yeah, and there we go. More force fields throwing down the Spore Crawler, working on that Mothership core, but it moves back. The Queens start to work on there, and I think with most of those Zealots and that Stalker going down, now we've got the Roaches out. MC's got to be ridiculously careful here. The Lings can still swing around from the back behind. We don't have any additional Lings on the way, so I think that MC can probably breathe easily here as I think Snoot's just going to gather up whatever army he can at this third base to make sure he can defend, and you know, with the right push forward, I don't know.
Well, Snoot's doing one of the things he needs to do, which is to get the roach speed, but more importantly, he needs to get upgrades, because that's the one thing that is really going on in this exchange. No one's getting an edge in terms of killing stuff. They're getting an edge in time, and MC's doing a brilliant job of exploiting all this free time that he has. He's gotten the +2 attack started. He's chrono boosted out Immortals, and essentially all that Snoot's done is just build roaches.
Yeah, and with some Immortals coming out as well, I believe this is Immortal number 2, or at least Immortal number 2 will be joining us here shortly. Not going to be so great versus all those, especially with the amount of force fields that we see locked and loaded here for MC. Now, you mentioned muted early on, but we are going to see just the focus on, of course, that potential Roast Hydra army, which is, you know, ridiculously effective versus the Protoss army. We'll have to see exactly what's built from this point forward, but we haven't seen any Colossus, haven't even seen Robotics Bay as far as I know. And here we finally see the Warp Prism coming back in, some Zealot harass the main.
Stylish Warp Prism play. Do a little damage, wiggle your way on out, and of course the Warp Prism is going to be the key tool for the big scale aggression. And, you know, I love MC because he just does the big plays that have been big plays since the dawn of StarCraft 2. He's just going to go expand and get ton of Colossus and do a big Blankstalker Colossus push. I mean, we have these modern styles of play, you know, like Rain's Warp Prism, with tons of Zealots moving in. We've been seeing some Zealot Archon Immortal in there. We've been seeing just pure Blankstalker pushes, and MC's like, nah, Colossus good unit, let's do it.
Yep, and I'll have some on the way here shortly. I do want to point something out because it's actually amazing how many times I think Zergs will actually not do this, but versus the Warp Prism play, in the northern part of Snoot's base, he moved that Spore to the top to make sure that it can't sit right there on the lip, warp in the Zealots and run in. Like, it's amazing how many will not do that. So the moment he saw the Warp Prism, boom, it got right into position. He's ready to go. So
another interesting little tidbit of Snoot's play is that he has 6 queens, and he's going up to 8 queens. Now, this is nice play for a couple of reasons. For one, queens are just a good unit against switches to Colossus. The range 7 allows you to shoot the Colossus very easily, but also it allows the transition to Hive Tech much more easily. You're not spending all that gas on units, And Queens are great at transfusing Broodlords, transfusing Ultralists, transfusing Swarm Hosts, even working with Swarm Hosts, and it looks like that is the transitional choice of Snute. Love this play. We saw Soulkey have great success with this.
64 Zerglings lost being pointed out here. Who's ahead right now? You can make your vote. Looks like people want to say MC. Of course, MC did also see that the hive just as it begun to morph, so he kind of has an idea. Yeah, exactly. With that hallucinated Phoenix, went over right before it died. Sent the information back home, and here comes that Warp Prism once again. This time fully loaded, and it's going to be going right into not the best part of the base, but you know, as he realized he can't get in there, he's going to move it out. And there we go. The first Swarm Hosts are out.
Now, Swarm Hosts are a very awkward unit because they are the worst defensive unit in the game, bar none. The Locusts are so slow. They can't get into a good position almost ever. But they're amazing at sieging and being the assault unit. So we're seeing a slow transition into, it looks like some Zealot Archonic stuff. Don't see Storm quite yet. Just repelling this. God, look at that fierce army from Snute, just knocking it back like it's nothing.
Yeah. It's already huge. And he hasn't shown yet, right? I don't know that MC is even aware that these Swarm Hosts are on the way.
I mean, MC has been doing this style of play, this basic skeleton of PvZ since the dawn of time. Getting some gateways up, Immortals blink to take another base, and then going straight into Colossus and getting a few more gateways for a 3 or 4 Colossus push. But he's going to run headlong into just a giant wall of Locusts. I don't know if it's really going to work very well.
And we have some Roaches moving around there, watching the Warp Prism as well. Really split up Snute here.
Yeah. Snute's going to do these little counterattacks, not just to do damage, but to free up supply for more Swarm Hosts. Trying to take out a single Immortal ain't going to work, and it looks like at this point in the game, most of you online are saying that MC has the edge, but that Swarm Host count's getting mighty high. It's is that 16? God, he got a lot of those fast. He's going to be going up to 25 in just a moment.
That's actually ridiculous. That's quite a few, which means that I feel like at that number, it's difficult to play. I mean, you'll notice that the current trend with a lot of these players now are that you never really leave your Swarm Hosts in one place. Or if you do, not in the same place for very long.
Yeah.
As you drop your Locusts, you pick them back up, you relocate them, and then you let the Locusts move out again. And I personally think that it's a remarkable style. It keeps your opponent guessing if they don't have that detection. But also as you get better positioning.
Now, that was what was once upon a time 8 Queens is now 4, and those are really important tools for dealing with these Colossus. We're seeing MC doing the standard answer to Swarm Hosts. You throwing them at me, I'll just go around them. How do you deal with this Warp Prism Harass? It's just a simple drop, but there's almost no units here for Snute to be able to defend it with.
Yeah, nothing at all, and he's probably going to have to give that particular base up. Now, these force fields, one might say, great, you know, MC's got this. This isn't much of an issue. Those force fields do not last forever, and every single one that gets thrown down is, that much closer to a full-on assault from these Locusts.
Now, the interesting combination that was popularized by Stefano when Heart of the Swarm just came out is the Swarm Host Viper Corruptor mix. The Locusts push back the Templar so far that it becomes, a little bit of a misstep there by MC, easily cleaned up by Snute. But the Locusts push back the Templar, which allow the Vipers to get far enough forward to avoid feedback. And then you can pull Colossus, pull Immortals, weakening Protoss 1 unit at a time. But look at MC adding 7 gateways. How many total is that going to be? He's going to be going to 17 gateways. He is going Zealot Archon pure, just going to try to overrun.
Yeah, and well, there's one pull on the Immortal.
2 pull.
A second pull. And as long as he can sort of keep a nice flow of the Locust going, which may mean even splitting up the assault with the Locust, sending a little wave out and then another wave out. There we got a pull from the Colossus, but nothing there to reinforce that. Might have to use the energy again.
Well, looks like there's the blink up into the main. I'm not quite sure I like this play from MC, but he's trying to apply the pressure and make use of those 17 gateways as best as he can. If he can just break through the line a little bit and then just begin flooding 17 Zealots at a time, then rolling in with 8 Archons afterwards in this 4th base, guaranteed to complete. no corruptors yet. Viper count continues to rise.
Now, in terms of, you know, Snute having this static army for the most part, you know, no longer really having the mobility he had early on, and this fourth base going down, is it Snute's now responsibility to start moving forward and bringing the siege to the front of the base? Because as we all know, a few more bases up for MC, and then it starts to get real nasty.
As long as there is just some loose plan of what the max number of comfortable bases is, then you're fine. If you can say, all right, Protoss, you get 4 bases, but I'm going to set up in this position to shut down your 5th base. That is what's going to let Snute win, but I mean, these armies are so big.
And there we go, some storms going down on top of those swarm hosts, and this is that whole business of making sure that you're constantly staying mobile. A lot of swarm hosts are going down right now.
They're not burrowed, they're not burrowed.
Oh,
Snute,
no.
not paying attention now, finally throws it down. Are there any observers in this mixture? The answer is no, not a single observer on the field right now, which means that MC is suddenly stuck between a rock and a hard place.
And we do have a lot of locusts coming in from the back, but there's the storms on top. They don't need observers to do the damage, and the hatchery will fall. Now these units are going to be, oh, he just,
whoopsie daisies.
Yeah, these units were going to be caught there in the middle, but MC had a lot of luck with that and just taking him out. Snute just wasn't really paying attention.
Well, it looks like here's the rally forward. I mean, oh, great force field from MC. He's just powering through. I mean, he's not going to go for Tempest. He's not going to go for air units to try to go around it. He's just going to batter down the front door with so much stuff that there's nothing Snute can do. We're seeing observers stepping in. It looks like there's a pull on the Archon, going to immediately fall down. But I mean, Snute, is he going to be able to hold this off? I don't think so. He's at 125 supply. I mean, MC knows exactly how to deal with swarm hosts. Yeah, and he's even doing harassment with those Colossus from the top of the hill. Everything is going down. He's got this whole portion of the map locked in. Now, there is another base up for Snute, but it's currently not really doing much of anything. He could relocate if necessary, but obviously Snute doesn't want to give up this position. And you know, MC, despite the fact that there were a ton of swarm hosts here for Snute, seems to be handling this just fine based off of all the kills he's gotten early on from the swarm hosts. I mean, MC's doing everything you're not supposed to do against swarm hosts, spending tons of force fields, charging directly into them. But MC's macro is so good. He is making it work. MC is broke, but maxed. And now we're seeing the Zealots storm through. They're going to get eaten up by the front line of swarm hosts, but soon enough there's not going to be any more locusts.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the swarm host split up pretty nicely. We're going to see Immortals go down, but each wave seems to be taken out faster and faster. The Vipers are there, but there's a quick flip on top. It's looking like game number 1 might belong to MC.
There is no grand transition planned at this point. Snute is relying purely on these swarm hosts. Going to try to, wow, nice pulls on those Colossus, but there's not nearly enough Spore Crawlers to be able to deal with it head on. He has to pull back to the safety of these Spore Crawlers to try to pick off the observers, but there's the GG.
GG.
A relatively straightforward game from MC.
Making a return appearance at the Red Bull Battlegrounds, New York City tomorrow for day 2, where we will crown a champion. Let's introduce our players. Here in the southwest position as the Red Protoss. Already up 1 game from Team SK. Give it up for the boss toss. It's MC!
And of course, in the top right-hand corner, the other Zerg foreigner at this event, currently behind 0-1 from Team Liquid, it is Snute.
So let's talk about concepts like, you know, you've got this army. I feel like I've had just a great opening game. 20 minutes went my way.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you're like, oh, my hotkeys were wrong. I accidentally sent these guys over here as a bad rally. And you lose units that kind of put you in a position of like, it's going to be really hard for me to come back and win this game. But I did so well early on. Like, you know, in a professional gaming setting, at a player of this level, how do you, is it so easy to just say, I messed up? Like, you know, like it could have gone totally different if I would have hockeyed that way. I don't necessarily think I did anything wrong. It was more a mechanical error or an execution error than anything.
Well, you know, it's really two ends of the extreme or how players react to that. a small set of players go, oh, great. You know, I felt really good that game, and it turns out I just had a bad rally. I lost 12 mutas. No big deal. Cool. I totally would have won. But if there's any shred of doubt there, I mean, in all the players I've talked to and all of my experiences as a player, talking to my friends who are players, it is one of the hardest psychological uphill battles when you say, oh, God, I messed that up and I could have won. Because then you go into the next game and you're thinking, I hope I don't mess up. I don't want to screw anything. I mean, even when you're not screwing something up, the only experience you remember is that you lost dumb battles in the last game. And you see an army coming in your head, you're like, oh my God, it's going to be another dumb battle where he's just going to have too much and I'm not going to be able to win. I mean, it's very easy to convince yourself phantom problems in that spot.
It's always interesting to think about how that plays out, and of course one day we'll have the technology to sort of look into the minds of these gamers.
There will be a brain feed up there where it's like, well, actually he's not even thinking about StarCraft right now. He's
thinking about petting and kitten.
Yeah, God.
It happens. That's what I do when I lose. So Pylon getting taken out here, so the expansion can go down. It was pool first for Snute. We got that pro by MC. Watching the third, and I feel like, hey, we've just been transported back 8 months ago, and this pretty typical play of what we see. Protoss tries to stop, usually does drop a pylon to stop the natural, and then for as long as you possibly can, delay that third. Of course, applying a logic that you said in one of the games in Scarlet versus Bomber, and you come back to a map that you maybe haven't played that long, and sure, you've got some muscle memory on this map, and this stuff goes here and there, but a lot of crazy stuff can still happen, and I think that was a great point you made, and I think that will remain the case throughout the entire tournament.
I think Snute is doing a very smart map choice if he's relying on going for Swarm Host. This is a very, 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 very nice Swarm Host map. And
I don't think we have. Do we just get a gas come down here? Nope, just more drones coming out here. Now there we go, 2 extractors going down right now for Snute. And
this is almost certainly a 1-gate expand out of MC.
We've also got a new poll up. Can Snute come back to win this matchup? Looks about split right now. You can't forget that he was the winner of the Red Bull Training Grounds in Orlando, where he played just fantastically.
Yeah, nice win over Huck. Doing some rather unusual moves. Well, it looks like it's almost certainly not going to be a 1-gate expand, but it's still looking very, very expandy right now. And it's kind of interesting because MC does the setups that everyone else does for aggressive expanding moves, but then he just builds a few gateways just in case. He's always had this trend, even at last year's Battlegrounds against Stefano, who loved the Max Bling Roach play, would just build 2 or 3 extra gateways against Stefano and then expand.
So the third base up and proper here for Snute. We've got that pylon down, and the Zergling is actively searching for it right now. Third base is most certainly going to be a target coming up here, as there the probe is found. Probe probably drops that pylon before he goes down, and now they'll try to save it. Looks like it will happen, and that's pretty good indication that, hey, I might be getting attacked here in just a moment. So a lot of roaches about ready to pop.
Wait, I am absolutely baffled at this decision by MC. I am just completely confused. He is going to just get rolled in this. I mean, sure, he can recall, but he's not going to be able to get the third base. He's going to have to get Immortals and Blink before he moves forward. I mean, MC's already declared, I'm abandoning this attack because he's warped in sentries. I'm shocked to not see an expansion down right now.
With no more units coming in, and there we see the Robo. I don't know if it was just more of an option for MC, like I'm just gearing up for what I can do, but I have to agree with you. It seems like, especially the location of his attack, of course we see in a lot of cases coming from that northern side and not necessarily from that fourth base. But with more sentries coming in and a couple of mortals from the back, I don't know. Is it just a setup for...
I mean, this is just downright odd. I mean, Snute has completely halted all drone production, only just now going back to it. I mean, Snute built virtually nothing there. And here MC's kind of stuck because he says, do I want to recall to save? Okay, yeah, but now I don't have any photon overcharge, so I might have to wait a little longer for my expansion. But there, Snute, ooh, slips in and out, no problem.
One force field down. Units get out okay. Only a little bit of energy there. We've got a couple more gateways. Made a couple more +1. Make it a couple more +2 now. So I think we're up to about 8, maybe 9 gates at this point. And you can see the army positioning itself to check on this third. As the Overlord comes in, is there an opportunity for attack? Well, those roaches still don't have speed, and as we all know, that can be a very scary situation to be in.
Now Snute's got to begin pumping out those Hydras. This is an 8-gate attack coming out for MC. This is MC saying, you know what? I think this map is too good for Zerg. I'm just going to go for it. Those very unusual decisions. MC may have just had a misread and just said, you know what? I got to do it. I have to go for this all in because I've damaged myself too much. And there's the Hydras coming out. I think this should be a relatively straightforward defense for Snute, especially if we see a Zealot heavy force from MC.
I'm a little surprised to not see Snute actually looking for other pylons after that initial group as well. I mean, there's 2 behind. That could have been great pickoffs for him. He's kept a lot of those units on the southeast portion of the map, obviously to check for the third, but he's going to see this coming now and is going to have to really think about getting back into position. In fact, as he sees the Lings and he splits them off, there's nothing there at the third, and he's got to know now. If there's any doubt in his mind, it's gone.
Snute's setting up a 3-way flank. He's got the Roaches from the south side, the Hydras from above. Oh, Snute is engaging in a very awkward angle. This shows full confidence in the power of those Hydras, and we are seeing the front line of MC's force evaporate. But with those Stalkers starting to warp in, MC can begin to gobble up ground.
That was really interesting, attacking with the Roaches, forcing out those force fields and then bringing the Lings in from the back. I thought the Lings would be able to take care of those Immortals, but some Zealots left back to defend as well. There are a lot of Hydras here. The force fields keep the Hydras back, but they've got that range. The damage is being done.
What a concave from Snute. Some drones showing up to the front lines. Snute knows he doesn't need this expansion. Easy peasy, scooting forward, taking out all the Immortals. Soon enough, Roaches and Lings can begin to replenish the Warp Prism even under huge fire, thanks to the Hydra's ability to fire up into the skies, and we'll be able to take it out. Oh, no more warping back up. Snute just wrecks MC's push.
Just a perfect little snipe there. Not only got the Mothership core, but then got the Warp Prism as well, and that should stop this attack. Despite these units, wasn't able to get that warp in, but some more Lings coming in makes it much more difficult to kite with those, or kite the Lings with the Stalkers. And no third base now. So if Snute goes down and check, he has got to be feeling in great shape.
Wow, I mean, this is just fantastically played by Snute, and there's 2 signals for that. One, look at the upgrade. In the midst of all that attack, Snute started an upgrade, preparing himself for the later stages of the game. Just so nice. And of course, the second one, the Infestation Pit going down. Looking at the drone counts, it's 60 to 45. I mean, MC is certainly not dead by a long shot, but he's at about a 1/3 capacity of minerals across his bases.
With the upgrade advantage over there, you know, I'd think that getting that third base would definitely be a priority here, but moving out and keeping vision on his side of the map. No 4th base quite yet for Snute as he continues, but there we see the very, well, I wouldn't even call that fast, 15-minute hive.
Yeah, and you know, I just love these choices out of Snute. I do feel like a good chunk of players kind of go into autopilot mode. You know, in the olden days, it was like, all right, Infestor Broodlord's big, so I'm going to begin building up the Infestors for that. And that will work, you know, a good chunk of the time. Now it's, all right, Roach, Hydra, Viper, that's my mix. So I'm just going to go straight for that now. We're seeing Snute recognize that he's in a really tense position and that he needs to get those pathogen gland Infestors out fast. It's just a very smart read. It's a very temporary answer. He doesn't really want a lot of Infestors for his next stage of planning, but just beautiful answering by Snute.
Yeah, I mean, even with the 7, highly effective, especially based off of where he can get his, you know, his opponent trapped. Now, there's no Mothership core with this army right now, but oh, there she is, just trailing behind. And this is the spot where I was expecting MC to attack from in that initial attack. Oh, there's that first fungal, goes down beautifully. We do see the force field stopping the Roaches from really moving in, but that means that that damage still being done through that fungal growth.
Well, looks like the shields are all but gone on most of the front line of units. Hydra's happily devouring the Zealots. But where are the extra units from Snute? His army's starting to get a little bit tiny. whiffing a couple of those fungals. I mean, MC's coming in at a very bold angle right now, and we're starting to see the drones. There's the next round of Hydras. We're starting to see Lynx pop up as well. And Snute is surprisingly low on units and might have to sack this expansion.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised. I mean, with 7 infestors, there were a couple stacked fungals, but it didn't seem like all that energy was actually used right there. There were a few Hydras out, not nearly as many roaches, and suddenly this third base is certainly going to fall. One last tickle, there it is. Goes down.
This would be a very bitter loss for Snute if he ended up falling in this situation. I mean, now it's pure desperation mode.
Yeah.
It's gateway units and these 3 Immortals versus pure Roach Hydra out of Snute.
And, you know, with the amount of roaches and hydras that I'm actually seeing here and the reinforcement capability of MC, 3 Immortals still on the field, like, this is rather bad.
Roach Hydra trying to step forward, but there's just too many gateway units. The sentries fall, force fields barely doing a little damage here and there, but wait a minute, a back set of Hydralisks. The Queens are absorbing a lot of the front punches. This could begin to slowly tip in the favor, but the drones are going to have to come, and there's the reinforcing Zealots, Sentries, even though the Hydra's damage output is obscene. Immortals, too many hit points for Snute to handle.
Yeah, maybe getting a few of those Immortals down during that initial battle, whether that had been the very first one or the one that happened at the 3rd moments ago. You know, he cleaned almost everything up, and there's GG. MC moves on to the winner's match for Group B.